up from the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire, his head in the sky. Godzilla, Godzilla, Godzilla,
And Godzilla.
you know what? We can just skip that part.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
Hello, people of the internet. I am Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir.
And I am Pete.
And this is our long-awaited review for Godzilla 2014. Yes, the movie that I have been waiting for since it was first rumored.
How long ago was that?
2009, man.
2009. Let's go through a short timeline of the emotions and the turmoil you felt.
Okay.
What was your reaction to knowing that Godzilla would be coming out in 5 years?
Well, at that point, it was back in 2009. It was only a rumor, and it was at that point where it was like, "Oh my God, yes, finally a new Godzilla. There is a God. There could possibly be it." Well, at that point, it was only rumored, but it was like I was just at that point we haven't had a Godzilla movie since 2004, and we didn't have the comic books back then because that was in the IDW comic started in 2011, and so.
The gods decided to shine upon you and grant you your one wish.
And it wasn't until the next year in 2010 where it was confirmed that Legendary Pictures and Warner Brothers would be making a Godzilla movie.
2010.
2010, yeah.
We're in 2014. Jesus.
We're in
Christ.
2014. It's been so long. You know, I've pretty much spent the majority, like ever since it was first announced. It's been the good majority of our college lives just like waiting for this thing.
We graduated in 2010.
We graduated in 2010, and it was and so I think the next year in 2011 it was confirmed that Gareth Edwards was the director of this movie, and pretty much the only other film that Gareth Edwards directed was independent film called Monsters.
Really?
Yeah, and it didn't really impress me that much. Only because like it didn't left any sort of real impact on me, but I did like what really impressed me was that the movie does look more expensive than it actually did. Mm-hmm. So this was a director that could handle a budget, as opposed to say James Cameron, who just spends a few $1 million a minute on his movies, and then it was 2012. We had the very first concept teaser trailer at Comic-Con, where they never had no intentions of releasing that trailer, only because it was simply a concept trailer, and it eventually got leaked, and we all saw it. We saw that weird multi-armed creature. We saw that famous silhouette of Godzilla's head in the cloudy shadows.
Was that when they're in the building, or when they were? I think when Godzilla's passing by.
Oh no, that was Comic-Con 2013, yeah.
Okay.
2013, they had a Godzilla exhibit, and in that Godzilla exhibit, they had a thing where it's raining, and you look outside a virtual window, and you see a video, which is actually a video screen. You see Godzilla walking into the through the rain, and then also we got our. There was also at that Comic-Con last year, where they had a scene from the airport, and people saw the MUTOs for the very first time, and the drawings that came out of that looked very different from what we now have today. And then we finally had the trailers. It released a lot of stuff, and finally here we are with the movie. It's already been out it's already almost. It's out of theaters and it's already on its way to DVD. And the reason why it took us so long, I pretty much explained in our mid-year review. But I really wanted to keep this separate because, me being a diehard Godzilla fan and pretty much dedicating the majority of my channel to
big monsters.
Yeah, them big monsters. And I wanted to. Now that I finally had the opportunity to record this review with you, Pete, I wanted to. I'm kind of glad actually that the review is coming out this late, because now the movie's been out for some time. It's in our head. We've been able to process it and look at other people's reviews, compare and contrast. See just the impact that this movie had left. Mm-hmm. And so I guess the first thing to start off with is that what the trailers
Promise.
promised in a way was very different. The movie that the trailer advertised was very different than the movie that we got. And I like to point this out that I do want to get into spoilers with this movie, only because it's
Godzilla.
it's
Goddamn.
Godzilla, damn it. I really want to get into it a lot more than I would have in a normal non-spoiler review.
Right.
So yeah, spoiler warning, everybody. So, what this movie promised us in the trailers was we were going to get a movie that mostly starred Bryan Cranston, who just came off of Breaking Bad.
Yep.
And, by the way, I must say, phenomenal actor. He was incredibly engaging in Breaking Bad.
Just started watching this show, season
Yep.
5.
Yep.
Bring it on.
I finished it like months ago in preparation for the movie,
Uh-huh.
and he still brings his A game here. So it advertised a movie where Bryan Cranston was one of the main characters, and we had a Godzilla that was mostly a destructive force. Where there's that special line, especially that line from the 2012 Comic-Con teaser concept teaser, where they use that quote from Oppenheimer, the creator of the atomic bomb. "Now I am death, the destroyer of worlds." Now, when you hear that quote. They use that quote to basically describe Godzilla in that concept teaser. You expect this to be a very
disastrous movie.
Disastrous Godzilla movie, where Godzilla is the main focus and Godzilla
creates all the havoc and the damage.
Right.
That's what you think.
And you've seen, you may not have seen that many Godzilla movies, but you've definitely seen Godzilla 84.
Yes.
And you've seen how destructive, Godzilla is as like the main antagonistic force.
Uh-huh.
But that was not what we got, really, with this movie. It was very different, and I can understand why people would be disappointed with this movie, considering what it advertised. And I know there are people out there I understand why they would feel betrayed, and I kind of feel it is, in a way, not the movie's fault that the trailers advertised a different movie, because I think what I believe is, like, the team that's responsible for advertising the movie or marketing the movie and the team that's in charge of actually making the movie are completely separate.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean they do have to somewhat work together, and to a degree.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like even though they're separate, they should still have some common ground. And like you said, we were with the trailer, we were kind of promised one thing and given another. Mm-hmm. That being said, even before I saw the movie, I will say, I'm always looking at my Facebook, looking at what other people are saying, and I will say a lot of people liked it, and only one or two people disliked it.
Yeah, like, it's definitely gotten a majority, when it came to the reception of the film, it received, mostly positive reviews. I mean, it has, like, at this point, 70-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, but then, again, there are still those people who are still pretty upset over it, and, like I mentioned, this isn't the first time where the marketing department advertised a movie that was completely different than what it actually was. Like, the most famous example being Drive. The advertisements marketed it like if it was like a action-packed Fast and the Furious type of movie, where it was actually something very different, more like I think it was like a spy drama, I believe. I'm very sorry. I have not seen the movie, but I have heard that there were people who complained, upset that it wasn't like Fast and the Furious when it was another thing.
Right.
And even I remember another example was, I think it was a Star Trek 3. Well, it was a Star Trek movie where the Enterprise was destroyed. Uh-huh. The Starship Enterprise was destroyed, and the marketing department wanted to advertise that the famous ship was going to be destroyed in the trailers, but Leonard Nimoy heavily fought against it, saying, "No, this is supposed to be a plot twist. Don't show this."
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, this is just an example in a long history of movies being mismarketed.
Of course.
And unfortunately, Godzilla was the case.
The big one, out of all movies, that came out that year, and I'm sure other movies were,
and I think maybe the reason why this was the case was maybe because there wasn't a lot of faith in Godzilla, because Godzilla hasn't had a movie in 10 years. He hasn't had a movie released in America since 2000, And so maybe they were trying to make this the most advertise this as the most action-packed movie. They're trying to market it like if it was like maybe a big budget summer blockbuster like not Jurassic Park, like Transformers or something, where it's just like big fights,
Yeah.
or like Pacific Rim. You know, they're trying to advertise it like Pacific Rim when it clearly isn't a big action movie. It's
I think we can both agree, even though it doesn't deliver on that, it still delivers well on what it does. What it does do.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, if I even warned you. I
Yeah.
took like Bill's advice, where Bill he told other people, if you're gonna see Godzilla, don't expect an action movie because it's not.
Yeah. No. And you specifically told me to not to expect to see too much Godzilla in the film.
Right,
And
because that's a big complaint for many people.
right. And when you said don't expect to see too much Godzilla, I expected not to see not that much Godzilla. What I got was practically none, no Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like maybe 10% of the movie, if anything, was Godzilla.
Right, where yeah, that's pretty. Even though that is a very valid complaint. The movie definitely focuses more on the MUTOs than Godzilla himself. It's mostly like the story of one man trying to kill the monsters that killed his father, guest starring Godzilla.
There you go. That works.
And Godzilla himself, he really only appears like sparingly, and he doesn't really not attack. He doesn't. The reason why he does what he does in this movie is because other things are happening around him that he is simply reacting to.
Right.
Now, if you look at a movie like, say, Godzilla '84, everything he does on his own. Whereas here, he's doing something because he's only because of something. Yeah, he's reacting, or is something. He's doing something because something else is happening
Right.
beforehand, or something that's happening around him. That is to say, I still feel like this is a great movie, and well, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
So the movie itself is about. Well, it takes place in this world where Godzilla has been around for quite some time. He is not a mutation like he has been traditionally, where instead of being a dinosaur that mutated because of an atomic bomb, he has always been this large and in charge. And
He's just ancient, right?
he's ancient. Yeah, he is old. According to the prequel comic, he was like buried himself into like underneath the crust and lava and everything.
Jesus.
Like I guess soaking up the natural radiation, I think, from the ground,
Yeah.
or like the lava or whatever, and survived there for like millions of years. And an ancient enemy, a natural like enemy of him from his days, was reborn, which were the MUTOs. The MUTOs, massive unidentified terrestrial organism.
Is that what it's called? What they stand for?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Although what I like better is because one of them is flying, they should call it the one. They should call the flying one, the male one, massive unidentified flying organism, or MUFO.
Oh my gosh.
So you had the two. You had a male and female. The smaller one is male that can fly. The bigger one has an extra pair of arms and is freaking huge.
Yeah, 'cause she's a female.
Yeah. And so you have this character named Joe Brody, played by Bryan Cranston. He lost his wife due to an incident in 1999 where his wife died during one of the MUTO's initial destructions. Now we cut to the present day where he and his son, Ford played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who you may remember from Kick-Ass, and who's going to be Quicksilver in Avengers: Age of Ultron.
I've seen a picture of him. I don't know how to feel about it. I feel like I like the X-Men Quicksilver better, but let's not get into that right now.
All right. And so both of them, they investigate the incident because there's this conspiracy that Joe has been digging up for since 1999. It's kind of like pretty much destroyed him. He's like a shell of a man at this point. And they find out that the nuclear testing site and the entire area surrounding it that was deemed quarantined because of radiation, there is no radiation in the quarantine area because they are secretly hiding one of the MUTOs.
It was a lie!
And so by the time they uncover it, the MUTO just so happened to waken from its ancient slumber, and now is rampaging, and at the same time, the female MUTO also awoken in response to the MUTO's call.
Not only did it awaken, but no one happened to notice notice it waking up.
Right, right. Because in Nevada, there was this like secret base where the female Muto's egg was hidden, and you see the scene where all the soldiers are going into the mountain. They're like, "Okay, let's check everything," and they open the room where the egg supposedly was, and there's a giant hole on the side of a mountain. I was like, "You didn't notice that? Really?"
You're like, I mean, all the rubble, everything moving. I mean, come on.
That's a giant monster, you know. It's a giant monster, and you're like, okay, let's investigate, and walk past what could
that
be.
thing causes earthquakes. I mean, come on.
You didn't hear it.
The earth.
Yeah, like it took you like, and you see the female Muto was already like, well, like a couple miles away from the mountain. So like, you didn't recognize it when you were driving to the mountain? No, okay. Yeah, that always gets to me. And so these two, Mutos are meeting each other in San Francisco, where they will mate and reproduce and cause a whole lot of trouble for humanity. Luckily, there's an alpha predator from the ancient days, a natural enemy of the Mutos. Oh, which comes in the form of Godzilla.
Gojira?
Godzilla.
Gojira?
Godzilla. And it's at this point where another big complaint from the majority of people, including myself, takes place. Where before Godzilla even shows up, Brody is killed.
Oh yeah.
He dies very early in the film, and
Gotta have more Cranston.
I gotta have more Cranston.
Gotta have more Cranston.
I gotta have more Cranston. Screw the cowbell. I need more Cranston. Oh. Yeah, like, Bryan Cranston was easily the best character, the most relatable character, the most sympathetic, the one that I wanted to know more about, because he kind of seemed like he was possibly on this path of redemption in a way, where he wanted to settle an old score.
Not just that, but all the knowledge he knew too, all the stuff he knew, everything he knew that was going to happen, everything that was repeating itself. It kind of would have been cooler to pick at his brain more.
Mm-hmm.
I like Bryan Cranston.
Oh yeah, and I think of roughly the first like 20 or 30 minutes was just focused on his story, and by him dying so early, it kind of seemed like his story was incomplete. But I kind of see what they were trying to go with. He was trying to pass the torch off to to Ford, and to have Ford finish what he could not.
He needed the proper motivation.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and but I think the movie could have worked so much better had Ford still been had Joe still have been around more, and that way you would have had Ford and Joe being able to reconnect to, well, like, you know, rediscover that bond that they lost so many years ago, and have like basically an Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade with Godzilla.
Would you want to have seen him through the end?
Yeah, although I can imagine him dying before the final fight, just to like raise the stakes. I think it still could have worked. His death still could have worked as a motivator, just not have it so early. Because another problem I have with the movie is kind of with Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, but not to the point where like a lot of people complained about Aaron Taylor Johnson being completely flat. His acting sucks. He's terrible. He can't hold a note to save his life.
I thought he was on the average note. Nothing terrible, nothing amazing. I thought he was just there.
And the thing is, he's an army. He's what was it? Army soldier. I think he was a Lieutenant Brody.
Not too sure.
I think he was a lieutenant, and he's a bomb disposal expert.
Right. Now,
I've heard other people say that they actually know people in real life who are in the army, and they definitely act the way that Aaron Taylor Johnson portrays his character. He's very calm. He keeps his emotions in check, and he always keeps his composure, even during intense situations. And I find his portrayal to be very realistic, where because he's part of a bomb disposal expert, he is trained to be
calm and
to be calm,
collected.
to keep his nerves in check. And
And it's not like we never see him in actual fear and peril. I mean, there are times where you do get emotion out of him.
Yeah.
You absolutely do.
especially when early on you see his family, he's interacting with his family. He looks like a lovable goofball. He's like your average Joe. And another scene where you see his emotions are like when he was interacting with Bryan Cranston. The scenes he shares with Cranston are, I believe, his character is at his most
His peak.
at his peak, I guess, interesting because it's at that point where it's like he's been in denial about what happened to his mother for so many years that to have his world flipped and turned upside down was a shock to him.
Which is kind of sad because that's only like 30 minutes into the movie.
Right. Well, not even 30 minutes, maybe like, I don't know, 20.
And that's his peak.
Yeah. And there are certain hints of his personality here and there, like one that my friend Bill has brought up multiple times was when he's at the airport, he's taking care of this Japanese boy who was separated from his parents, and he jokes around. He says, "I hope I don't miss my flight because of you, kid." And yeah, there are many little hints here and there that show him as a very relatable character, and I completely disagree. In my opinion, I disagree with the people who say he can't. His acting was terrible simply because of the way his character was meant to be portrayed.
Now, in that case, do you feel like he's above average or just on that line?
Yeah, here's where I get into where my problem is with Ford.
Thor's in this movie. All right, Thor. Whoa.
Well, he did. Wait, did he fought Thor in the Marvel comics? I think so.
Okay.
I know he fought the Avengers. So the biggest problem I have with Ford is not with the acting from Aaron Taylor Johnson, but mostly with the writing. Because to bring up a point that Matt Frank made, Matt Frank being an incredibly talented Godzilla comic book artist, the majority of the film has Ford simply moving from point A to point B and point B to point C, and he doesn't really get enough time to flesh out his character. I mean, sure, you get a little character quirks here and there, but never really flesh him out.
Always on the road.
Always on the road.
Always another mission.
And the thing is, he would have. I feel like his character could have been expanded upon had he had someone to work off of, like he did when he was with Bryan Cranston. And
the thing is, he always got a new partner. I mean, first he had the kid, then he had the soldier, then he had someone else. He moved from person to person pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Sergeant Morales, that was the soldier he was with until the train bridge scene. And I feel like with Sergeant Morales, he looks a bit like he looked less experienced than Ford. And you could have had some interesting chemistry between the two, considering that they were working together for this really big mission at transporting the two nukes. But they never did, and because of that, I just see one man just going from place to place, and maybe...
I want to ask, also, I realized that throughout the movie, he tends to say, whoa, I'm military. And, like, they just accept him, like, as is.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I worked on the bomb. Can I
get some proof?
It's like... Can I be on this mission to San Francisco? I gotta see my wife. No, I'm part of the bomb expert. I'm a bomb expert. Okay, you're in.
I'm like, okay.
That didn't mind me. I wasn't bothered by that as much as other people. Only because, like, sure, if it's a way to get him to from point A to point B, fine. But I know my friends from the SOS are really going to disagree with me with the Ford thing, because they really enjoyed the character of Ford, and they would say, "Oh, he's a very complex character, and these are all these little hints at his personality, and these are." You can definitely tell, like, when Joe died, he told him to protect your wife and kid no matter what, at any cost. And like, and they mentioned that, he's going the reason why he's going from point A to point B
to get to his family.
To get to his family, yeah, that shows character. And here I am, I'm thinking, not for me, it doesn't. I mean, yeah, he's going there, but we don't really see him struggling
to actually get to his family.
Yeah, because
I think I know what you're getting at. I think a strong connection with his family would have been a bigger thing too, because I feel like. While he was trying, like you said, he was trying to get to his family, his sense of urgency really was absent.
Yeah, yeah, and that could be because of his, very emotionless state of being.
Right.
His calm state of being, to say. So it's not so much of the acting, but it was really the writing, because of the writing, because of the way the story is scripted, he doesn't get a chance for us to know him all that well, for us to really care about him. I do care about him and the people that he's trying to save. Just like he does, it does it in a very passable way, where it's like I was invested, but not that invested.
Right. No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. A lot of people complained that also. I'm very sorry if this review comes off as me trying to defend the criticisms of this film. It's just I feel like this is the best way because, I want to tackle this movie from all different angles.
Right.
And I feel like these points that other people have made, what helps me
Analyze it.
analyze it and talk about each element in detail. And with a lot of people have criticized what was it, Elizabeth Olsen, who plays his wife. Yeah, she got a lot of attention with a couple of independent movies, especially one that was I think it was called May, Marcy, Marlene, May, Martha, Marcy, Marlene, something like that, where it's 4 names. And I'm really glad to see her, she's a new up-and-comer, kind of like Aaron Taylor-Johnson. And though it's kind of weird to say, it's weird to see this, where you have 2 actors are portraying husband and wife, and in Avengers 2, they're playing brother and sister.
Well, yeah, actually, you don't think I either knew that, or I completely forgot. That is kind of awkward.
Yeah. Especially when you see them kissing at the, being a husband and wife, and you see them kissing, knowing who they're gonna play next, I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, pretty, well, yeah.
But a lot of people complained that she didn't really do anything in the movie, and that even she herself was a bad actress. I don't really know where they got that.
She plays a nurse, correct? And
she's a nurse.
She gives her son away for while she waits for her husband, right?
Right. And I guess you can definitely. I think she did a really adequate job with what she was given, and in terms of not doing a lot, I thought she did quite enough. Where she was looking out for her child's safety. She was definitely dedicated to her husband, and she can tell she was at the hospital trying to take care of as many patients as she could. Although I guess it would have been really cool, not really cool, but more interesting to actually see her interacting with these patients who have been affected, maybe have the victims of Hawaii get transported.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Mixing what happened in one place and putting it in another. And I get what you mean. I guess it's something that she's a bad character. It's maybe that she doesn't get the
the spotlight,
or the places that she deserved or the acting that she deserved.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you mean. I could definitely understand that. Mm-hmm. If you think about it behind the scenes, if you really think about it, she could be a strong character. But we could get more out of her.
Mm-hmm. And I really love her reactions to her finding out the existence of Godzilla. Again, it's kind of like what Aaron Taylor-Johnson went, but even more extreme, where she's almost having a mental breakdown over what what she just saw on TV, and knowing that all this happened in Honolulu, where her husband is at, which just makes her all the more terrified of what's going on. And I liked how they kind of used her as the point of view of the people from down below as the MUTOs and Godzilla are about to begin their fight.
What a fight!
Yes. Before we move on, I just want to say that kid who plays the son always bothered me because he just has the most deadest expression ever.
Okay, I want to comment on that and I told you this after watching the movie, but throughout the movie or the scenes where Aaron Taylor has a kid, we're cheering for him, saving the kid. He gets into the building, he saved the kid. But what about all the other kids that got lost away with their families? What am I supposed to feel? What about Boomer?
They focus so much of that time in Honolulu on Boomer. The dog, I know we're using a nostalgic critic joke here, but I'm just going to call him Boomer because it's so obvious the same way they treated the dog from Independence Day. Yeah, it's really pretty ridiculous. Really, it's like the leash just comes off that tree, just like, whoop, there he goes.
Another thing that kind of irked me was the scientist.
Dr. Serizawa?
I believe so, and
Really?
not his character, but every time I saw him, he always had this one face like, you can't see my face, but like his mouth open, just like in disbelief, like.
Oh, this is this thing that I'm looking at.
This is very bad.
I'm a very serious here.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that always stood out to me because he always,
Yeah.
like, whenever it panned to him,
Uh-huh.
he always had that same facial expression. He would hold
Yeah.
it for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, he did different stuff later on, but he always had that same damn expression. Like,
Oh, this thing is very serious. We need the help of Godzilla. I love what how it should have ended did with Godzilla. It's like let them fight, but can we just like nuke them before they get to San Diego? Let them fight. I mean, really, it wouldn't be that much. It wouldn't be that hard. Let them fight. You just want to see giant monsters fight, do you? Let them fight. Oh yeah, I love Ken Watanabe as Dr. Serizawa. I mean, he's like he kind of reminded me of Captain Ahab, where you know how Captain Ahab he was
yes.
very obsessed over the sperm whale and he was like chasing him. Whereas here he's not so much. He doesn't want to kill Godzilla. He's just been. This is just something that's been a big part. You can tell this has been a big part of his life. Yeah, the thing that's been a huge part of his life. That being able to see this thing in action, and even at the very end of the movie where he has this big smile seeing Godzilla wake up and walk away, it just, it makes, again, very interesting, well-done character. And I love that they named him after the best character from the entire Godzilla series, Dr. Daisuke Serizawa from the original 1954 film. I do also want to give a shout-out. I can't remember the character's name, but it was the... was it a commander? I'm very bad with military ranks, but the main military guy who was in charge of all the operations.
I can't say I recall. I'm trying to remember. Yeah,
He was the one, like, whenever Dr. Serizawa would, he was the one who would want to say, hey, let's just have Godzilla and MUTO duke it out, and let nature take its course. Whereas the military person was like, no, I'm trying my best to save the people of this city.
Save the city!
Save the city. And, if it requires nuclear weapons, then so be it. And I really like the debate between the two characters and how they're really trying to... each of them have their own reasons for wanting to do what they do. And I love how, like, throughout the movie, he's trying to say, I'm trying to save as many lives here, even if it means having to put these monsters in a direction where there are less people that can be killed. Oh yeah, David. Let's see, David Strathern as Admiral William Stenz.
That might have been him.
Yeah. So again, it was like I like the debate between the two mindsets in the film when it comes to the military. And I thought it was a pretty interesting idea of them to use the bomb as using the use of the nuclear bomb to lure the monsters away, and then using them as, even though they said they feed on nuclear radiation, it's the explosion that kills them. It's like kind of like how we drink water, but we can definitely be killed by a tidal wave, not because it's made out of water, but because of the force and the impact can kill them. So I like that, and it's just like, oh, these bombs...
So they're not useless.
Yeah.
They do serve a purpose.
Yeah, they do serve a purpose. And much like all Godzilla movies, the military has always played an important, vital role in the majority of these films. And
84, though. 84.
84, yes, with their flying hovercraft. The Super X. And I do like how it's like they still, even though these monsters are not nuclear radiated, mutations, they still are very connected to that kind of like that allegory of the bomb, where the original themes of the 1954 Godzilla was that humanity humanity will pay for its arrogance and sins if they are not careful with their own creations and what they can accomplish. That being, like, in the 50s, it was the nuclear bomb,
Right.
and how something that powerful could come back to bite them in the ass if used,
Incorrectly.
incorrectly or irresponsibly,
Right.
which happens, which was what originally created Godzilla. And here they do attempt to use the nuclear bomb to fight these monsters who are also, but in the end, it kind of like in a way, their fault for bringing these monsters to life in the first place, because from what I understand, it was the nuclear bombing. It was the use of the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki that awoken these monsters in the first place, especially Godzilla himself. Just that he's been in underwater ever since. In slumber.
In the Pacific Rim.
fighting the kaijus every now and then, like Leatherback and Knivehead. And it kind of like the way the military, they try to handle things, it ends up getting worse for them, because now not only do they have to deal with the kaijus, but they also have to deal with the bomb. Yeah. Although, like, it's kind of like a little plot hole where it's like they try to transport the bomb out to sea, and the flying MUTO just comes in and swoops in and gets that nuke.
Chomp.
Yeah, I was like, really, you guys didn't have a better way of transporting that thing? I mean, one of them can fly.
And nope. We're gonna go with this plan, and even if it doesn't work, we're gonna continue at it. Doesn't matter. We know what we're doing. We're the military. Continue.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice to see, like, the military. It's kind of like they're very humbled, and not humbled, but they're not perfect. And
they're not that arrogant either.
Right. It's not like Transformers, how it handles the military. It's like, America, fuck yeah! So now at last we come to the point where the majority of people, including myself, came into this movie for the kaijus themselves.
The monsters, the big guys, I don't know.
the behemoths, the kaijus, the big
baddies,
the megalosauruses, the titans, the
gods of all kind,
the modern day gods among men. I guess we should save Godzilla for last.
Of course. Well, I mean, what do you think this is?
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
We just can't go out the gate. Talking about like the big G.
Go on.
So the MUTOs. What were your thoughts on the MUTOs themselves?
I really liked how they're like very smooth, like in terms of like their body structure and the way they look. I don't know. I felt like they looked very cool. They had this unique kind of color pattern too, right?
What was kind of weird was that the majority of the merchandise for the MUTOs always portray them as black and red,
which is an amazing color palette, by the way.
Definitely, black and red work very well. But if you look at if you remember from the film, they'll tend to have like mostly black and white with little strips of red here and there.
Right.
Like the toys would always have them with red arms. Well, two of their arms being red, whereas here their arms are mostly white, with like a little red stream to indicate like that cool EMP ability.
I kind of like when they do that and seeing the whole EMP wave just go whoop.
Mm-hmm. Although I wonder how the flying MUTO was able to perform the EMP wave when he was in the air, knocking out all the jets. Did he just like smash his fist together?
Yes.
Yes.
Boosh.
But yeah, I really love their designs. And almost kind of a very comic book-esque quality to them.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, kind of like a very like alien, reptilian / arthropod look to them.
I did get that, but I felt like the design on them was very tame. They didn't have like they weren't like the monsters, like the aliens from or monsters from the movie we just saw.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, you know how they're very they have a lot of detail. They have all those spikes. No, these creatures are very fine. Again, they're very plain design, which I liked.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they do look like very natural looking creatures that would exist in real life. Although it's kind of hard to tell what kind of animal kind of like animal family they belong to. And a lot of people have complained that they look unoriginal. But the way I see it is, yes, there are a lot of qualities about them that look very similar to other previous giant monsters. But that's why I love the MUTOs, where they take all these aspects from different monsters, like Gigan, Orga, Gauss, Rodan, the Cloverfield monster, and put them all these features together to form an original creation out of familiar parts.
Do you really think the MUTOs were based off a lot of different creatures?
I think so, because like with the Cloverfield monster, you have these big arms, like kind of like skinny arms, along with these tiny little smaller arms that are like tucked inside. You have Gigan being a really obvious one for Godzilla fans, where he has the hook arms,
Right.
and he has that little red visor sort of look in his eyes. Then you have Gauss. Gauss is a flying monster with a flat head, kind of like the flat heads of the MUTOs. You have Orga. Orga's like had these giant hands that he kind of walks in like a very gorilla-esque posture, which the female MUTO definitely has.
She's the one that was land-based, right?
Yeah, she is land-based, and she was the one who walked around kind of like a gorilla for the most part. And then you have Rodan for, obvious reasons. For the most part, even people who were not following the movie, when they saw the flying MUTO, they thought it was Rodan. For obvious, which we can definitely see why, because it's, a monster with wings, very bird-like.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like they do take these familiar elements and put them together to make a combination that we haven't seen before. And I really love that they still give the MUTOs a lot of personality, especially when you see them, like the two MUTOs meet for the first time.
Oh, hello, honey.
It's kind of very emotional,
Yeah. Or how about the mama trying to feed her babies to protect her babies?
Oh yeah, and how devastated she was when they were all blown up.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And even when she looks at Ford in the eye, he's like, I don't know what this thing is, but I think it has to do with this thing killed my babies.
And I'm gonna kill it.
And I'm gonna kill it right now. Yes, you see how mad it is.
You done fucked up.
You done fucked up. You done goofed, boy. You done fucking goofed.
Should we get to the big G?
Let's get to the big G. So yeah, wow, there is so much I can say about Godzilla and how they treated him. I do agree, yes, he definitely isn't in the movie a whole lot. We kind of explained why, where he just mostly spends most of the time, underwater. And a big part that I really didn't had a issue with was with them cutting away from the fights. For them teasing the fights. Mm-hmm. And I know they were going for the Spielberg Jaws route, where they wanted to tease the big animal, more monster, and then show them at the very end. And I respect that decision.
Well,
However,
Jaws, he's a shark, but he's in the water. Godzilla how big is Godzilla?
True.
He's a behemoth. He's a god. Come on.
And with Jaws, I feel like they handled the teasing wrong, where with Jaws, they showed a little bit at a time before you finally get a good look at him at the very end. With here, they show all of Godzilla, and then only show his spines for the next 30 minutes, half hour. It's like being at a fancy restaurant, and instead of being given your appetizer, which you can before you have your drink, you have your appetizer, then you get the entree. Whereas here they give you the entree, but only give you 10 seconds to enjoy it before taking it away
and giving you your appetizer.
Then giving you the appetizer, and then giving you your main course.
That's cold and dry.
Yeah, it's cold.
Because I can't deny it, the parts that we did actually fully see Godzilla in the full fights were pretty awesome.
They were amazing.
Yes.
So, but another issue was that I think they did too much teasing, where they teased Godzilla in Honolulu, which that one was the most I had the most issue with. Every time, they spent a good 10 minutes setting up, or at least 7 minutes, setting up that fight between him and the flying MUTO, where it's like, okay, here's Godzilla, he's coming in with the tidal wave. Then you see his chest when they're all shooting at him. Then you see the MUTO at the airport. And then you see, finally Godzilla, he roars. And they cut to a gag of,
Goodbye.
Mommy, look, dinosaur on TV. Yeah, it still gets me, Even, I've seen this movie 4 times, and every time I see that scene, it's like, ugh, I know it's there, but ugh, come on, I want to see the fight. And for even though my
Deleted scenes, deleted scenes, special features, special features.
extended cut. And even though my friends would argue that it wouldn't have been that big of a fight because on the news we see Godzilla just swatting at the MUTO in the air like get over here, get over here, yeah.
It's still
But
something.
still, you still could have had a really good fight.
Yeah.
And then they teased again in Nevada, where you see the female MUTO, destroying Las Vegas, only to cut away and show it on the news. And that didn't bother me as much because I love what they did with the reveal, where you see these two firemen, they come into the hotel room, and the hotel room is gone.
Yeah. What do you,
But,
okay.
sorry, I do want to say that, it's Las Vegas. It's like one of the most, brightest, most attractive-looking cities. And that's a great city to destroy. I'm sorry, David, but it's not that big, but it's a very, interesting city to see, to have it destroyed. And, but to only have Las Vegas set in the daytime, nobody wants to see Las Vegas in the daytime. It's depressing at daytime.
Gotta see all the neon lights and all the bright colors.
Yeah. And then to have, that big, extravagant set piece not be shown is kind of like, what's the point of even having a Las Vegas scene in the first place?
Do it anywhere else.
Yeah. And then they teased again. They teased several times, actually. Well, no, they teased one more time right before the final battle. And again, I do like what they did with it. Like, they show the MUTO and Godzilla about to fight. They're like, yeah! Cut away. But then when the next time you do see it, it's just when they do the really...
It's devastating.
Yeah, you see the Halo jump scene, which I absolutely love the Halo jump scene. I feel like it's definitely going to stand out as the big set piece, the biggest set piece, not related to giant monsters in the movie. And when you come back, you saw the city, but then when you come back and see the city, it's hell on earth.
Yeah.
And then they kind of not tease it, but when you see the final fight, they always cut away from the monsters and you see what the humans are doing. I actually really like what they did with that because it just shows the two stories going on at the same time, and it shows just how big these monsters are in comparison to these tiny humans.
Oh, yeah.
And just seeing how each party influences the other. But having so many teaser moments or cutaway moments
It's just overkill.
Oh yeah, overkill. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still right now in my head. I know we talked about it already, but the scenes where, the big ship is just following Godzilla. We're tracking Godzilla. We're tracking Godzilla. We've lost Godzilla. We're tracking Godzilla. It's just got old.
Yeah. I feel like this movie felt very experimental, where they weren't sure exactly how to do a new Godzilla movie for the modern age, and so they were kind of they didn't show they didn't show a lot of Godzilla. Probably because they want to save him for a sequel where it's okay, now we know what the people like and dislike. Now we can have a better idea of what to make.
Darn sure.
Also, I did have a theory as to why they didn't show Godzilla a lot, because Godzilla's a very destructive creature, no matter what his intentions are. Where he takes one step and he already causes an earthquake. Wherever he goes, he's going to break stuff. So I feel like they showed less of Godzilla because the less they show of him, the less they show of him destroying stuff, which will give more of a motivation to audiences for cheering for him, because he's clearly supposed to be the good guy in this movie.
Right. Oh, well, I was gonna say, what about the idea of showing him less so that we don't see him as a destructor and as a public enemy number one.
Right. That's pretty much my point exactly, where
he's not the bad guy.
He's not the bad guy because he doesn't destroy as much, or at least we don't see him destroy as much stuff. When it comes to his character, I'm so glad. This made me so happy that they didn't treat him as just a monster. Much like the MUTOs, he definitely also has his own personality, and they treat him as a character. And where the original Godzilla, he's always had this element of tragedy to him, being not only was he the last of his kind, before the mutation, but after the mutation, he became the first of his kind, and he couldn't be any more lonelier.
Yeah.
This is a creature who has gone through, in the past, he has always been portrayed as a creature with so much suffering, so much anger, so much pure rage. And in some cases, depends on how they portray him. Sometimes they portray him as an animalistic creature. Sometimes they show him as a very intelligent creature. And
Say he was a hybrid this time now?
yeah, he's very hybrid, where he definitely has an edge to him. He's kind of very crafty, but he kind of has a very animalistic thing, because the majority, his main motivation is, he doesn't like these monsters. It's kind of like a cat and dog relationship, where like, cats and dogs instinctively hate each other.
Right.
And so he's like, I don't like these MUTOs. They're bad news. I'm going to put a stop to them.
Right. And well, the reason why he didn't like them was because he knew they would breed, correct?
Yeah. And it's been mentioned before, like, remember the skeleton that we see at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another member of Godzilla's race, and that monster was killed so that the MUTOs can have their eggs laid inside of that body.
Well, the last 2 eggs.
Yeah, so it seems that, which doesn't really make sense, because, the MUTOs then later lay eggs without a dead body, without laying them inside a dead body, but, who knows?
Well, I'm trying to... Where do they lay their eggs in? Because I'm thinking, if they laid their eggs in the body of someone like Godzilla, I'm pretty sure that body had a whole bunch of radiation
For them to feed off of.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, when she laid her eggs in the city, if there was radiation in that area too.
Oh, remember the bomb?
That's why she had the bomb, for the radiation. So you could make that argument or that idea, but that could be just stretching or just reaching out for any idea to make sense.
Oh no, that is possible, quite possible. And what I wanted to bring up was that they still show him as a very tragic character, because he's no longer he's in a completely different world, than a world that's different from the one that he is used to. And you can tell by that scene where the giant building falls on top of him, and they have that moment where Ford looks into Godzilla's eyes, and you just see that close-up of his face, and you see all these scars on him, especially this big gash on his lip. And you can tell that this creature, he's old, he is tired, he is, he is in a way lost. He's unfamiliar with this new world that he really doesn't belong in.
That's because he slept for 1,000 years,
Yeah.
you lazy bastard.
Walk, you lazy bastard. Come on, you can get up, you can fight the
He's
MUTOs.
in great shape for being asleep for 1,000 years.
Or millions, yeah.
Millions of years, jeez.
But yeah, that's a great thing, because when he gets back up, he is back. He is with a vengeance. He is a monster that does not quit. He survives through sheer will and might. And that's why, you love him, you root for him. You're like, yeah, get him!
Get him, Godzilla!
By taking him down, you only make him that much more stronger.
Saiyan.
And everything, and yeah, every moment he is on screen, he is badass. From his atomic breath.
I was just about to bring that up.
The atomic breath.
Do we need to talk about the atomic breath?
I don't know, man. Just that the atomic breath, man. The way he uses it. Boom. And also, greatest fatality ever. King Kong, eat your heart out, man. Hey, King Kong, you think you were cool with your jawbreaker? Check this shit out.
Multiply that by 10.
Multiply by 10, yeah.
I'm on fire! My shoe. Oh my god.
Godzilla, the original shoop-de-whoop.
There you go.
So yeah, in terms of Godzilla, they really got him right, as opposed to what they did with the 1989 film.
From his design, to his character, to his abilities, top notch.
Top notch, yeah. Only wish we could have seen this top notch a little bit more. Like, if they were to show that fight in Honolulu, that would be enough Godzilla for me.
Now, let me ask you this: in terms of Godzilla, the Godzillas that have come and gone, where does this 2014 Godzilla, the creature itself, rank in your list?
In terms of like designs,
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Well, it's very high up, I would say. Like, when you look at his design, it's clear that is Godzilla. They bulked him up a bit. They kind of give him a very bare posture. He doesn't raise his hands up like he's ready to pounce. Instead, he kind of like lets his arms just chill there, almost like he's flexing. He's flexing like, yeah. Check out these muscles here. I like this, like the very crocodilian skin they gave him. A very interesting note is that when it comes to his face, they took away that mammalian cat snout that's usually seen in a lot of Godzilla movies. He has like a very dinosaurian snout with like the two nostrils instead of an actual nose.
Uh-huh.
I thought that looked very natural, and the spines look very reminiscent of the Millennium designs, where a lot of the classic Godzillas have like very maple leaf shaped spines, whereas the Millennium films always had them with very like sharp, jagged and pointy spines. And the spines were quite a bit smaller than what we usually see in Godzilla spines, but they work overall with the film, with the look. And if there was anything I could complain about, really, where it's kind of become an infamous point to talk about, are the feet themselves. Like, yeah, like a lot of people, including myself, were not big fans of how they kind of have these very thick elephant stubby feet.
Uh-huh.
As opposed to like the big, long-toed, sharp-clawed feet.
Oh, I didn't realize that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like, the thing is, I saw this design by itself, but in the movie you rarely notice the feet. And it's nothing really worth complaining over. It's just a very nitpick of mine. But after getting used to this design and owning the NECA 12-inch toy and then seeing the design on screen, the feet are really... I've grown accustomed to the feet and say, yeah, that is a natural part of this creature's body. And I guess what I really love are the eyes. They were a lot more expressive. He has a lot more expressive eyes than I thought he would have. And I just love the choice to have this like very dark area of skin around his eyes. So I know that you didn't have as much experience with Godzilla designs, but what do you thought of the look of the creature itself?
This thing looked badass, man. Like, genuinely badass. And you're definitely right. He definitely does look like he has more like a crocodilian skin. Mm-hmm. And his spikes look awesome. The atomic breath, though, man. That's the killer for me, man. Just seeing like him light up.
It's very interesting with the atomic breath. It's like, in the past they kind of make it look kind of gassy looking, like a cloud of concentrated gas. Then in the 90s they kind of turn into like a very streamlined looking beam. And here they kind of do a combination of both, where it's like a singular beam that's also a little wavy and kind of like gassy at the same time. Where it's like kind of like a radioactive steam, but also fire as well, kind of like fiery and cloudy at the same time. I think we talked about everything we can say about this film. Yeah. So let's just get into the final ratings.
Okay. I want you to go first, because this has been a big thing for you. So yeah. Shoot.
Was it definitely worth the wait? To me, absolutely. It was a much different movie than we thought it was going to be, but what we got instead was still a complete blast. Really enjoyed the characters for the most part. I loved what they did with Godzilla and the MUTOs, even despite the fact that we didn't see as much Godzilla as I wanted to. But what we did got was still fantastic. Is it a perfect movie? No. Is it the best Godzilla movie? No. Is it the best movie of 2014? Sadly, I would have to say no.
But nonetheless,
it was still an amazing film. I mean, the fact that it got even made in the first place and it came out this good against all odds was just a blessing for me. And I feel like this is a great start to a franchise I am looking forward to seeing prosper. So I will gladly give this movie a 4 out of 5. And now all we can do is just wait until the sequel comes out, whenever that may be, considering that the director is now going to be working on a Star Wars spin-off film.
Cool. As for me, well, I definitely have a different perspective from you. Considering, as you know, you were waiting for this movie. I was excited for this movie too, for you. Mm-hmm. And I was just excited to see a Godzilla movie myself. I haven't seen one since I think 2000, besides the ones you've shown me.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was looking forward to it. I didn't know what I was gonna get. And definitely, the lack of Godzilla was kind of a big kicker for me. And again, you told me specifically, be ready for a lack of Godzilla, and I prepared myself. And even then, I was not ready for such a lack of Godzilla. Mm-hmm. I still think it was an awesome film, though. The design on the MUTOs and everything was really good. I liked the characters. They weren't the most amazing thing in general. But for me, I have to give the movie a 3 out of 5. It was a fun watch. I definitely watch it again. And like you, I'm excited for any sequels to come, and I'd probably own it myself on DVD. But I'd say it's definitely worth a watch.
Definitely. And I understand for people who still had issues with the film. However, I guess that's the beauty of, of any form of media where, everyone each has their own different reaction and response to this film. And do I get upset whenever people talk bad about Godzilla? To an extent. But then again, I don't really, I don't want it to let it bother me that much because, hey, everyone has a different opinion. Not everyone sees this thing the same way as you do.
As long as it's within reason, right?
Yeah, as long as it's within reason. Yeah, it's like, the feet suck, the whole movie sucks.
Now let me ask you this. Now Godzilla's, it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
We have another film coming up pretty soon.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure how long.
Uh-huh.
How excited are you for that? It's already been announced. You posted it on your Facebook wall. You should know what I'm talking about here. You were super excited.
Oh, Pacific Rim 2?
There you go.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait for Pacific Rim 2.
You are so excited for Pacific Rim. You're so excited for Godzilla. What's next?
Pacific Rim 2.
When does that come out?
Ooh, darn it, I can't remember if it was like...
such a fan.
Hey, man.
I'm so disappointed.
Hey, man.
What a fan. Ladies and gentlemen,
hey.
Kaiju Noir.
I think it was like 16, like July 2016 or 17. I'm pretty sure it was 16. And we're also going to get a more comic book that takes place between the two movies, and we're going to get an animated series that takes place during the initial war that takes place before the events of the movie.
Cool.
So yeah, I can't wait for that. We're still going to get more kaiju stuff up ahead. Godzilla's back, and he is ready to stay. He's ready to kick some more ass for the new generation of up-and-coming fans, as well as the old-school fans, such as myself, and even older fans who've been doing this song and dance way before I have. It's the time of the kaijus, Forget the day of the dog. Forget the time of the doctor. This is the day of the Zilla, the day of the kaiju. All right, so that has been our review for Godzilla 2014. We hope you've enjoyed it. I am Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaiju Noir.
And I am Pete.
And until then, everybody, skreonk! Down, 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 down. Godzilla!